it was just an all-round team performance from the Dogs and the Doggy fans sitting at home. I think you can get excited. We've got a long way to go and they won't be getting ahead of themselves, but the signs were there tonight, boys, that the game style was back a bit. We'll have a look at some of the numbers in a moment and you'll be pretty happy about them.
Well, don't you love too, Gaz, when Cody Waitman, he said that they spoke about it every break, about those numbers, those forward tackles and keeping that ball locked in the forward half. So there it is. And Luke Beveridge would love that. The fact that he reiterated it during the week and they just executed that to perfection.
We'll get on to the Dockers in a moment. They didn't help themselves, but that's a beautiful set of numbers right there. I mean, they continue to turn the footy over in their forward half, right from the word go, in actual fact. There was a little bit of Richmond about it in that first game of the season when they turned it over and didn't make it pay on the scoreboard, but they overwhelmed them in the end, and he'd be thrilled with those numbers, Luke.
It was visible. So I think sometimes when you watch a game and it finishes, you go, where did they get their scoring from? But you could watch the game and just see it was like a swarm. But what I loved is when the turnover came, the outside shape was just bang, like Western Bulldogs of old, just bang, 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 able to transition the ball.
Let's have a look at this. Williams on the weekend, on the wing, played one of his better games for a while.
Yeah, no, he was outstanding, and we speak about the inside stuff that they do. So, Bontempelli, McRae had 13 or 14 clearances, but it's the outer ring that was really damaging. Williams was the beneficiary of this on a lot of occasions, but that's the challenge when you're in and around a stoppage, to not get sucked in, not be the Fremantle players to get sucked in, hold your balance, and be ready for when the ball flicks out. On that occasion, it was Williams, to be 1-2 step and finish your work. He had a great night, 3 goals off the wing. He'll be pretty happy coming back.
Hey, it's good when we talk to the coaches pre-game. I mean, always good when they give us their time, and then they give us something in. You spoke about Tim English and the challenge that he was going to have tonight against Sean Darcy and Luke Jackson, and he said, well, Tim's one of our best runners on turnover, can work from one end of the ground to the other, which I reckon was great. And then you watch the game unfold and something happens and the words of Luke Beveridge are ringing in your ear.
I mean, I think Tim's he's definitely one of the best turnover ruckmen in the game, as far as running the full length of the ground outside of the stoppage, and he's a very good centre bounce ruckman and ball up ruckman, and so he's really developing year on year.
And then you see this sort of thing unfold. So English involved just on the defensive side of the centre square, gets involved in the ruck and then kicks the goal from 20 metres out with great. Sean Darcy down the back. And I think that's just sensational. And, Bontempelli was the best player on the ground for mine, and Trelaw not far away, and Tim English would have been up there again.
Well, he pretty much had his season average tonight, which is no mean feat, Gaz. As a ruckman, 20 disposals, 3 clearances and a goal. They're pretty handy numbers. If he keeps going at that rate, he might have a Brownlow hanging around his neck.
He'll be the All-Australian ruckman, and as Big Maxie gets back and starts humming. Rory Lobb, always going to have an interesting night. So we were sitting here, we were anticipating the start of the game, and I think the blood started to course through both of your veins. This has sort of got us up and about early.
Well, it did wake us up back here in the studio, but I'm for certain that it woke up the Dogs players. And I should have asked Cody Waitman about it, but he had a bit of an indifferent night. He had an influence on the game. If he had have finished off his work, he could have had a big impact on the game, but he just provided an option down forward. He went into the ruck to give English a spell, so that was really important as well. But I think he would go over there, finish the game and say, that was just good to get it out of the road and deal with the nerves and still participate in the win.
Had some good moments, though.
Absolutely, yeah. I think if he had finished off his work, it would have been one of those really solid games. But no, he wasn't a passenger tonight. He contributed beautifully.
No, I thought he was terrible. A bit flat, Gary. It was me big call. 5 goals.
You wanted him for 5.
He called him for 5. He had a kick straight, Rory. It would have been a good big call. I reckon the difference, this piece of vision sums up the difference between the two teams, guys. So, again, Fremantle reluctant to take the game on, especially when they're behind. So late in the third quarter, clearly behind on the scoreboard. They just want to go sideways and backwards. This is the time to take on the corridor. Now, we know they've been reluctant to use the corridor throughout the season, guys. They used it well in the second half against Gold Coast last week in that victory, but just have a look at them. So, you just need to run. I think you called it the Crawford run, didn't you, Louis?
Yeah, so we used to have this thing, if someone was stuck on the bench, just take off and see if something unfolds. Just try and create something out of nothing. This is the easiest ball movement possible to defend against. You can just see no Western Bulldogs players are really exerting any energy. They know where it's going. Jones can set up down the line.
And the contrast, sorry, Geordie, is he doesn't go backwards. He just keeps going forward. That handball there is the difference.
Yeah, because you're conserving energy on defence. So then when you get the opportunity and you use your runners in Oscar Baker, and then because you're so slow on offence, then your defensive transition isn't as sharp. So you could see at multiple occasions the Fremantle defenders just wouldn't be engaged in the game.
You ask Corey Wagner what's that like, trying to defend that ball that comes straight back at him. He's caught out under the foot, he has to turn his back. And compare it to what Liam Jones is defending on a slow ball movement, eyes up, sets himself, bang.
It's a
real issue, and there's other parts of their game that are suffering as well. But if you can't move the ball in this day and age against teams who practice all pre-season, year after year, how to defend, it's just too hard to score.
And if you can't win the ball at the ground, given that it's on the ground most of the time in our game, you're in all sorts of trouble.
It's the number one problem, Gaz, for the Fremantle Dockers this season. Have a look at that, minus 95 ground balls. That's a combination of the hard ball gets and the loose ball gets. And look at tonight, ground ball gets, Bulldogs 114 to 81, so it's a big problem. So
what's it telling us? Well, people at home go, well, yeah, what's that mean?
Okay, well, here you go. So the ability for the Bulldogs players to get out and spread to that loose ball, the ball is running away on the ground, or that one that's in there. 4 Bulldogs players had more than 10 ground balls individually tonight. Tonight, for Fremantle, 1.
Sarong?
Yeah. There you go, 16. The next best was 9. So not enough Fremantle players just getting out to that loose ball and chasing after it. So too many passages in that part of the game. Justin Longmuir, I'd be looking at that thinking, we've got real issues with this, we've got to fix it up. And it's a hard thing to turn around, but it comes back to a bit of intent as well. Obviously system, but the Bulldogs' intent was outstanding in that part of the game.
They were brilliant. The Dockers, on the other hand, have got all sorts of issues that they're having to deal with. That being one of them. This is what is ahead for them. So 4 of those 5 are going to be a real challenge. The Hawks will travel over there. That's the most points they've conceded in 2 years, the Fremantle Dockers. The most points in 2 years. And their ability to go forward and convert inside 50 looks like a real issue, as it has been all year. And we spent it 3/4 time. The profile of their ball movement from the back, so from this end to the other, they go, no, I'm not going down the middle. I'm going to go boundary because, for whatever reason. Teams that go boundary generally do it so they protect their goals on turnover. Then they gave up, at 3/4 time, they'd still given up close to 7 or over 7 goals on turnover in their forward half anyway. So where are they?
Yeah.
What are they?
It was so predictable. You look at so Western Bulldogs are inaccurate. And so Luke Ryan gets multiple opportunities to kick the ball in and just change the look of the game. On 5 of those occasions, he goes to exactly the same spot, which is skinny and wide and predictable. There's just I think there's no ability for the players to actually think for themselves and read the game and read the patterns and then try and...
You think they're too rigid, the game style?
It seems to me like it is, yeah. It seems to me like they want specific decision makers in specific positions to make the same calculated decisions at the risk of getting scored against.
Yeah, I just don't know who they are. I'm not sure, and they've got a lot of work to do, and they've got a really challenging 5 weeks. Let's go to Ralphie. They're not going to get Taberner back anytime soon, Johnny Ralph, in the newsroom.
No, that's correct. They're desperately lacking that forward line firepower, and it seems that he may well be out for the entire season now. It doesn't look like they'll play finals, and he would potentially need that long to try and get back from a micro-discectomy. Now, that's a disc issue that he's had to have surgery on, as we revealed in the pre-match, as the club's football boss in Peter Bell said. Now, Sam Walsh missed about 4 months with that. Again, it's a key position player, so maybe it could be even longer. So it may well be that Matt Taberner's year is effectively over. Now, Fremantle are hopeful, but they're certainly not certain that Nathan Fyfe will be back next week against Brisbane off his plantar fascia issues. So no Fyfe so far. 23 goals to Taberner last year. Rory Lobb 36 goals. So that's 70+ goals. They just haven't been able to replace so far.